Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Augusto Argandoña Fine Arts. Anytime in this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. If you should want to learn about my virtual classes or want to see my paintings, you may do so in my website at aafinearts.com. This tutorial is about how to paint an older house. I took his photograph during one of my early morning walks, and the early morning light caught my eye, especially on the front of the house and a little bit on the grass and the tree. It was a nice play of lights and darks and overall scene. So that's what I'm going to paint. It's an older house, so it has a lot of character and patina, so that's the way it will be in this painting. So there's going to be very little sky in the painting. There's a lot of the sky will be covered by vegetation, but I'm going to do it as much as little as possible in terms of the sky. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water to the sky area, what will be the very little sky area, maybe a little bit over here. And right away I'm going to bring in some manganese blue and cobalt blue into some of those areas, like that. A little bit over here, it'll be over here, a little bit more of the cobalt blue. Very little, and that's about pretty much it for the sky. Maybe a little bit of blue here. There, that's it. That's it for the sky. While that's drying, I'm going to make a mixture of aureolin yellow with the raw sienna and a little bit of cerulean blue for the grassy area over here, closer to the house. There's going to be a little bit of a walkway there, so this grassy area will be a little bit of a wedge shaped like that. And I'm going to extend that area also into the foreground, a little bit more of the colors. The same colors, and come over here and same thing, the grassy area in front. I'm going to skip the areas where the roots of this large tree will be, bring some of the grassy area over here too, like that. Come over here, there we are. So I'm going to bring a little bit more of those colors. Primarily the raw sienna. And come over here and do this area very quickly. Raw sienna and cerulean blue makes a really nice green. Kind of light. A lot of this will be covered by darker greens later when I do the shadows. Like that. Maybe I'm going to increase the blue a little bit, not much, especially over here. Leave that dry way pretty much white for now. Just add a few strokes of the little darker blue here. Increase the value of that green. The cerulean blue has a chalky effect, so it leaves a little bit of a granulation on the pigment. So I'm going to leave that alone like that. I think I'm going to increase the value a little bit more because when the paper dries, it's going to be lighter. especially over here. A little bit more of the cerulean blue. Yeah, the paper is beginning to dry already, so it's gonna be a little lighter. There we are. That's about it. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. And while that's drying, I'm gonna pick up a different type of brush, a round brush, and I'm gonna bring in some, there's a little bit of water here already. A little nice effect with that. Almost looks like a cloud there. So I'm going to pick up the same colors that I used for the grass. I'm going to use some raw sienna, aureolin yellow, and cerulean blue. And come over here and do this background area with those colors. The trees that are in the back. Like that. There's a little bit of a fence here too. So I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna get a little bit more of those colors. There we are. And I think what I'm gonna do is with the paper in this area is a little bit, not too much. There we are. Because I don't want to create more of this blossom here, and then add this color. These trees in the distance, in the background, are being washed by a lot of sunlight, so that's what the reason for this color. A little bit more of the cerulean blue there. We'll miss that chimney. And come down over here and block that area with the building. Like that. There we are. There. Come over here and bring the color here like that. All over here. That green, nice warm green. There. A little bit more of the raw sienna. And I'm going to go ahead and do this like that. Block the building. Go over these trunks. For now, it's okay. There we are. And this building ends over here. So I'm going to block that area too. All of this is connected. So I think what I'm going to do is bring this fence line down here. There we are, that's good. And come over here too. There we are, there. And we bring some of the green here and here. Like that, there. A little bit more of that green here. There, okay. So that's pretty much blocked out. So I think I'm gonna extend that green in this area too. And like that. There. All right. By now, this is pretty much dry, so I'm gonna go back to my flat brush. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of brown matter and cobalt blue and do this driveway. Kind of light for now until I do the shadows. There, we can then connect that right into this porch, the floor of this porch, and bring that over here like that. Okay, there. Also, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make more of that color, cobalt blue and brown matter, and make it kind of gray tone, and bring those colors right here into this house. These walls are in the shade. Bringing it all the way down, connected with the floor. And there's going to be some structural elements here. So I'm going to leave those pretty much white. And come down over here and connect that with the floor also. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to change brushes to a smaller flat brush. And do a little bit more of those colors. A little bit more of the cobalt blue actually. Okay, and this wall will also have those colors. She's in the shade. And I'm going to increase the value of those colors over here. Because it's going to be very dark. All of this is in the shade. And some of those colors are going to come over here too, in the form of shadows from this tree above. But for that, I'm going to increase the value of that gray. Like that. There we are. Bring this, I'm going to darken this a little bit more. Blend it right into that area. There we are. Okay, there's some shadows here too. Like that. Okay. I'm going to change another flat brush, smaller one. And I'm going to bring some sepia by itself right on top of this. This color. There we are. And I'm also going to bring in some ultramarine blue right on top of that. There we are. And some manganese blue on this wall. And also give it a little bit of warmth. I'm going to pick up some burnt sienna and put this over here, put the burnt sienna here. See that color, we're going to break the manganese really nicely. Warm that wall up a little bit more. And I'm going to bring in some burnt umber with that sepia that's in my palette, and come over here and darken this area a little bit more. like that. And bring some ultramarine. There we are. Take care of that structural element there and darken that area. A little bit more burnt umber. There. There we are, like that. And more ultramarine with almost a flat, almost a dry brush. Yeah, like that. And I'm also going to give this this wall a little bit more blue. Yeah, like that. And I'm going to bring some of that manganese blue also in the inside. Not too much there, like that. A little bit of that manganese on this wall also. Yeah, like that. And the burnt umber. There. Now that's looking good. Now it's really looking good. So now I'm going to darken this inside. I'm going to bring in some sepia. There. All these colors are being mixed on the paper, not on the palette. There we are. Yeah. And on top of that, I'm going to bring in some more ultramarine. Almost like a dry brush. There we are. There. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to do the roof with brown matter and a little bit of the ultramarine. Like that. Give it a light color because there's a lot of sunlight there. I'm going to increase the value of the brown matter a little bit. There we are. Let that go. A little bit more of the ultramarine in this area. There. Bring that over here. All right, that's good. Now, I'm going to give this fence a little bit of a, this will be in the shade, a little bluish color. And same thing, a little bit more manganese, a little bit of ultramarine, and this gray color that I have in my palette. And with that, we'll come over here and doing the shadow portion of this area. A little bit more manganese into that. There, that's nice gray. There we are. On top of that, I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine. Not too much. There. A little bit of the sepia with the ultramarine for this wall over here. There. And on top of that, I'm going to give it a coat of manganese. There we are. There. I'm going to leave that alone. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my other brush and pick up some a little bit of sepia with manganese. And I'll come over here and do this, give a little bit of a grayish tone to these trunks. A little bit ultramarine too, with the brown matter, but mostly the ultramarine. Kind of light color. That. A little bit more of the ultramarine with a touch of burnt sienna this time. Give it a little warmer tone, especially with those roots there. See, that ultramarine gives a nice warm tone to these trunks. Like that. And I'm going to bring a little bit more of the burnt sienna, I'm sorry, the ultramarine. Yeah. There we are. Like that. Okay. While that's drying, I'm going to bring in a little bit of sepia with cobalt blue this time and tone down, cool down some of this grays on the shadow side, a little cooler. Like that there, yeah. There. Now clean my brush and bring a little bit more of the burnt sienna on the sunny side. There we are, that's the color that I wanted to, and the value. See all that beautiful, beautiful light. There we are. There, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, it's a nice balance with all these grays. This is dry, so I'm going to darken that more. I'm going to put in some burnt sienna there. Like that. And right on top of that, I'm going to bring in some ultramarine. clean ultramarine color. There. A little bit more of the ultramarine, especially on the cool side of these walls. There we are. Catch that structural element. There. And lastly, I'm going to give it a light coat of sepia. There, that's right. I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to wash that off with manganese here. There we are. Pick up some of the color from that. And the last coat will be a little bit of the blue, the ultramarine. There we are. All right. This little wall over here will get the same treatment, but this time it will be cobalt blue. There. Okay. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the cobalt blue and go back to this wall here. Now I'm going to leave that wall, but over here I'm going to give this shadow a little bit of the cobalt blue and the sepia. Cool it down there a little bit there, like that. And soften it, those edges. And that's it. I'm going to give a little bit of the cobalt to these shadows too. There we are. There. Like that. Okay, now let that dry. While that's drying, everything else is dry. While that is drying, I'm going to let this dry too. I think what I'm going to do is start doing the texture on the tree. So for that texture on the tree, I'm going to make a mixture of sepia, a little darker this time, with ultramarine. And come over here and do a little bit of the texturing. A little bit of burnt sienna, burnt amber rather, with ultramarine, maybe darker color. A little later I'm going to lift some of this color, like that there. A little more burnt umber. Come over here. Come over here like this. Like that. There. Okay, so now I'm going to this background. I'm going to make a kind of a light or rather a little darker mid-value color with raw sienna and more cerulean blue. Too much a dry brush effect, and give it a little bit of a texture to some of these trees in the distance, like that. A little bit more water in my brush. Like that. There, okay. All right. So now I will do this tree. So for that, I'm going to add a little bit of water into some of these areas. Like that. And I'm going to make a nice, very rich mixture of the sea green, very rich, sepia, very dark, and Payne's gray, very dark, very rich. And come over here and start doing this foliage. Like that. Get more of these colors, very dark sepia and the sea green and Payne's gray, because this foliage is in the shade. And holding my brush from the back tip, I'm going to do this like this, like that. In fact, I'm going to change brushes to another type of round brush, which allows me to do this effect quite effectively. Again, the same colors, very rich, very dark. And here we go. Like that. Like that. Really nice. Very, almost a dry brush effect also here. Kind of overlap this roof a little bit. That. A little bit more moisture in my brush, become more of this rich color, and come over here and do this. There. See? Very nice. Very nice. Come over here and do the same thing. Come over here, the same thing. Beautiful. Come all the way down here. All the nice texturing from this tree works really well. Come over here, there's more of this this foliage. I'm gonna overlap this house a little bit there. There we are. See? Very nice. Okay, now I'm gonna close some of these gaps a little bit more. There we are. There. Okay, all of a sudden, everything seems lighter now. And this is all dry now. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take a smaller brush, pick up some sepia and some cobalt blue, quite a bit of cobalt blue. And do these windows. And they're not windows, this is a porch. In fact, I think I'm going to change brushes here to a nice flat brush. That's what I'm going to do. Cobalt blue and sepia. There we are. That's better. There, like that. Also gonna add a little bit of burnt umber to that mixture, warm it up a little bit. There we are. There. A little bit more of the burnt umber. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. And there's this door. A little bit more of the cobalt blue. And come over here like that. That railing there. A little bit more water in my brush, more of the burnt umber. There. There's a gutter there. I'm going to bring a little bit more of the sepia with the cobalt blue. Make this darker. There. I think I'm going to change brushes again. A little bit more careful in this area with the cobalt blue and the partition. There. A little bit more of the burnt umber. There we are. There. Change brushes again to my flat brush and make this darker. and more cobalt blue. Like that. So I think what happened here is that I realized that some of these walls need to be darker. So I'm going to pick up more ultramarine blue and brown matter, kind of cooler gray, especially for this wall over here. There we are. There. Pick up a little bit of that, kind of dirty. Then I'm going to change brushes to a smaller brush, smaller round brush, and pick up some ultramarine, some sepia. I'll do some of the detailing here. There's a window here. Like that. And there's a window over here. This is dry, yeah. There. And there's another window over here. That. Straighten that up a little bit. There. And there's also an air conditioner. Looks like a window air conditioner or something like that here. There, like that. And there's a table, looks like a picnic table down here. Yeah. Like that. And a bunch of, paraphernalia, items, whatever over here, like this, against these boxes or things like that. A little bit more of the cobalt blue here. There's some other items here. A bit of manganese blue, this area here. Block that table, whatever those items are. And let's see. I'll do this like that. Darken that area and bring some of the color downward. Maybe kind of muddy or something like that. There we are. That's better. And there's also a ladder or something like that over here against the wall. There. Some trash cans or something like that on this side. A bunch of boards or something like that. I'm going to bring some brown there too. times like that. Okay, good. So now I'll do a little bit of the brown matter with cobalt blue to this area. Darken that area up a little bit. That darken a little bit more. It's kind of reddish. This roof has kind of dark area too. That and we'll darken this like that. We'll darken this a little bit. There we are. Good. With my small brush, pick up some of this gray that's on my palette already, and do this little railing. On the steps. For that door. And there's a little bit of a edge in here. Here comes that gutter. Yeah, like that. And now, take my flat brush, get some of that brown matter with the cobalt blue, and do this, the shadows on this roof. A little bit more cobalt blue. There we are. There we are. Good. Now, take my smaller brush, a little bit more cobalt with this gray tone that I have in my palette, and I come over here, and I will do this wall. This fence. That fence over here too. And a little bit more of the cobalt with this gray. And this little building has some architectural details here like this. There. Same thing with this building over here. Just an indication of clapboards there. Same thing over here. inside something. And over here. There. And that building is done. We'll tone down this a little bit. Leave a little bit of white there. Get rid of some of these whites over here. There we are. And now I'm going to take a flat brush, some cobalt blue, some brown matter, a little bit more cobalt blue, cool it down, come over here and do these shadows over here on this driveway. Especially closer to the house. And like that. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the grass. So I'm going to use some under sea green, this time with ultramarine blue. Come over here and do some of these shadows over here too. There, like that. A little bit more water in my brush. A little bit of raw sienna mixed there. A little bit more of the under sea green, ultramarine. And come over here and do this. Like that. A little bit more water in my brush. And come over here and do these shadows. Nice shadows over here. More water, more ultramarine, and cool this down. And like that. Yeah. All right. Like that. So now, lastly, I'm going to take a little bit of sepia with the cobalt blue, and come down here and do this texturing for this trunk, some of the shadows areas. This is done with a dry brush. Like that. Something over here. A little bit of finger work there. Like that. There. And we'll change brushes to a smaller round brush. Pick up more sepia this time with ultramarine blue, a little bit of brown matter, and they'll just continue with these trunks. Then like that. Come over here. That. I'm gonna get my regular brush, get them the same colors, but mostly sepia now, and do these branches like that. Same thing over here, like that. Yeah. There we are. Pick up a little bit more of the sepia and do a little bit more of those trunks, branches, like that. There. All right. Get some of the raw sienna and fill in this white area here. There. And now I'm going to take the black brush and start lifting color from this trunk. See, and that's sunny side. Like that. With a different type of brush. This is a brush for acrylic painting, so you can pick up, lift more color very easily, like that. On the sunny side. There we are. And smooth it out into where the roots and the grass meet. Like that. There we are. There's an area over here where I'm going to pick up some highlights. Same thing over here. And over here. And the painting is done. So I will, I gotta do one more thing. This little chimney, a little bit white on one side and kind of gray on the other side. There. Okay. Now I'm gonna remove the tape, bring the dark board, and you're gonna see how this looks like. But before I do that, I'm going to take my flat brush and remove most of the moisture from it and soften some of these edges. Like that. In fact, I'm going to get the other brush and going to do that also with picking up some of the highlights, both from the grass and the pavement in the areas where the sun is hitting those open spaces. There, like that. A little bit over here too. And a little bit over here. Soften some of this. There we are, there, like that. A little bit of softening here too. There. Okay, and the painting is finished. Now I'm going to remove the tape, continue removing. I'll bring the dartboard and you're going to see how this looks like. Here comes the dartboard. And there it is. I'm going to minimize it a little bit, slight. There we are. Early morning sunlight. All the background trees very bright because of all the sun. All of this tree very dark because of the shade. Same thing with the trunks, combinations of grays, kind of gray tones and kind of muddy, dirty in that alcove, and with tables and whatever. And this is an older house, older neighborhood. So, but all the nice shadows, kind of great, nice grays over here, more cooler grays, warmer grays over here, cooler grays over here, and especially on this wall and the fence back there. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for watching. Please visit my website at aafinearts.com to see information about my virtual classes and a selection of my paintings and prints. Thank you again. Until next time.